What's going on, everybody? We have Kilo Loco here. Some things happen. Kilo. That's what we're gonna talk about. We'll call you Kyle. I feel weird calling you Kilo. I'm gonna call you Kyle. Your
That
real
works.
name, your government name. Right?
That,
So what the point of this video is unfortunately you may have seen Kyle's video on his channel. He got laid off from Bird as part of this whole coronavirus that's hitting everybody. Wanted to talk to him. Actually, he reached out to me, but I thought it was a good idea to sit down, talk with him, talk about what happened, how the whole layoff went down, how, what the environment was like there, but mainly like what can you do as a developer to prepare yourself for something like this? Because we're lucky enough to have a flexible profession. You talked about that a bit in your video, but real quick, tell people who you are, give a quick little intro, and then just talk about what happened.
yeah, so my name is Kyle Lee, or my online presence is known as Kilo Loco, and I was a software engineer at the company Bird, which is the micromobility company for electric scooters that you might have seen in your downtown areas. And I was there. I started working at Bird back in like September, October, and just yesterday, Friday, March 27th, I got laid off. So other than that, I was doing YouTube videos. I kind of stopped once I started working for Bird, just busy schedule. But yeah, now I'm without my primary income source, but there's a lot of things that I've done to kind of prepare for something like this, and we're just going to be talking about that and sharing that today.
Yeah, real quick though, you mentioned this in your video, and I didn't realize this, but you were commuting like 3 hours or something like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So
talk about that a little bit.
if anybody's familiar with Southern California, I live in San Bernardino County, and I would commute all the way out to Santa Monica. So from my house to the office, the Bird office, it was 86 miles. And I would take the train in the morning and in the evening. And the length of that commute was in total 3.5 hours each way. So I was doing like
Damn.
7 hours a day. I was lucky enough that my managers were fine with me working from home on Fridays. And there was also the opportunity for me to start working from home maybe a second day a week, but the work from home policy started taking effect, and we never really got to that point.
Did they this is kind of off topic, but I remember some companies that I was interviewing with mentioned this. Did they count like the time in commute? They didn't count that like as work time, did they?
No,
No,
no, no,
yeah.
no, no, no. That
Yeah.
means I would just go out to Santa Monica and
Yeah.
come home, and that's a full day's of
Go out there,
work.
eat lunch, come back.
Come back. Man,
That's
what a tough
funny.
day at the office.
So, because I saw this on Twitter, and like right after you reached out to me, I saw somebody put this out on Twitter. But I'll let you say it. So, like, how did it actually go down? For those that haven't like seen your video on the channel, because this caused some controversy on Twitter. So, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of businesses are impacted by everything that's going on in the economy due to COVID-19 and everything like that. And business decisions had to be made. Now, the way that they actually went about making them was the most controversial part, and that was essentially the way that everybody that got laid off found out that they were laid off.
Which real quick,
And
wasn't it? I heard this on Twitter. You can confirm. Was it like 30% of the company? Like it was a good chunk, wasn't it?
so I can't confirm any specific numbers, but the numbers that I've been hearing rumored around are
Yeah.
40%.
Oh
Don't
wow.
quote me on that, but I heard that it was 40%, and there were approximately 1,000 people at the Santa Monica location. So potentially that means that 400 people were
Yeah.
laid off this way. And the way that they went about doing it was we got everything is like all of our schedules are done through Google Calendars, and we got this Bird update on our calendar either like the night before or early that morning at like around 10 or 10:30 a.m. And we zoom into the call because everybody's work from home. We're all using Zoom, and about 5 minutes after the meeting had started, an automatic pre-recorded message started playing, And essentially, it was talking about how the company has, had to make tough business decisions with everything that's going on in our economic climate. And essentially, our role is no longer required at the company. And effectively, Friday, March 27th, we would be laid off. We would no longer have a job. And the
So
that's why it was so
it was
controversial.
yeah, it was kind of like a if you're viewing this, you're this is happening, right? It didn't go out to everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And like working at Bird, it was a really great experience. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, that's why I made the long commute because I really enjoyed it. And I understand the business decision. I just feel like the way that they executed it was
Yeah,
kind of in poor taste.
right, right. How big was the iOS team?
So a lot of people will actually consider the iOS team to be fairly small, but it was about 10 iOS engineers,
Oh,
and I was one of them. So like I think that there are three iOS engineers that are still on the team. They were the seniors and the principal,
hmm,
which makes sense. Keep the ones that have the most experience and that are able to operate the most effectively. So that's understood, but essentially everybody else that doesn't have that title, those
hmm.
those higher up titles, seem to be let go in the engineering department.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you got to understand. I mean, I know you do, but like you got to understand the business decision, right? It was those electric scooters that you see out in big cities. You look in a big city right now, this looks like a ghost town. Looks like The Walking Dead out there. Like their revenue has to be like zero, and for the
Yeah,
foreseeable future too. This doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. So
yeah,
it's a shitty
yeah.
situation, but like you said, you kind of understand.
No, I totally get it, and there's no ill will towards the company. Like I said, I think the only thing that was kind of done poorly was just like the way that they communicated it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the message is the same, regardless
Yeah,
of
yeah.
if somebody was on the Zoom call or not. It's a hard message to deliver, and even the pre-recorded message, it was a woman that was speaking, and she sounded, like sincerely, like it's got to be emotionally draining to even be able to record a message like that and be the one that be the voice behind the one that's delivering that message.
Yeah,
So
that would suck. I would hate to do that.
so yeah, so I understand why it might have been recorded and why somebody might not want it to have done it live. Makes sense, but it's just like at the same time, we're the ones that are kind of getting the short end of the stick. So
Right.
at least it would have felt. I think it would have felt maybe a little bit better, I guess.
Now, I don't know if you're allowed to say anything like about this or not, but was there any severance or was it just like up at the end of the week you're done or like can you get into that or not?
So even if I knew, I'm not sure if I would be able to get into the details of it. But like right now, I think I'm supposed to be waiting on an email to come through, regarding like all the particulars of
Okay.
what's going on with Severance, and I think that they're going to give us something, a little bit of something, and I think that they also like because even though I was kind of like no longer needed starting Friday, I believe I'm technically still employed until April. So that, and I think that the reason why they did that was so that my benefits carry over for the next month as well.
Mm,
So I think there was like, I think they tried to make the best of a bad situation so that people aren't without benefits. Um, but it's still just like a sucky situation
oh
to be
yeah.
in.
Yeah. I know it's super fresh. Like you said, it just happened yesterday. I'm sure you've thought about it, but any idea about what's next or where you go from here?
So the entire reason why I joined Bird in the first place or was looking to get into a company was so that I can go be surrounded by other higher level engineers and learn from them. And I definitely got to learn a lot while I was there. And the plan was to go learn for maybe a year or two. But when I got there, I really saw myself staying there for quite a long time. I thought I was going to be there for like at least 5 years because I really, really enjoyed the environment. Um, but you know, now that I have been forced out, I'm not really sure if I want to go back into another job because I feel like the culture would never be like that cool,
Hmm.
like because it was a really, really cool culture. Um, and I also don't want to do a really long commute again.
I don't know how you did it in the first place. Like that would have drove me nuts.
Well, I was staying busy, right? And
Yeah.
and we could talk about that a little bit later about how you can prepare for these types of situations.
Mhm.
But um, yeah, like I really don't know where I'm gonna go yet, right? Like it's been like 24 hours, and I'm kind of thinking about maybe following in your footsteps, maybe doing the YouTube content creation type thing. But I also did really enjoy working on a team, and like more than anybody, like this, like going down the content creation path it can be really lonely sometimes. So,
Yeah, I say
um,
the everybody's complaining about like this quarantine lifestyle and being so bored. I'm like, nothing has changed for me. Like I'm in my house coding and making videos, right? Like it's I'm not like saying that bragging, like it's just you're right. It can be a very lonely like lifestyle.
yeah, and I'm just trying to figure out like what it is that I actually want so that I can make this decision. But when I put out that video yesterday talking about what had happened, a lot of people said, a lot of people were just bringing up like how some of my videos have impacted them. And it definitely makes me want to come back. And like I had even reached out to you sometime last month saying like, I'm interested in getting back into the community, and I just really missed that. So I don't know. I'm kind of split, and I really don't know exactly what I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
But there's, I'm just happy to have some options on the table.
Yeah, so let's good segue. Let's talk about that. What have you done to like set yourself up for some options? Obviously, you talk about the YouTube channel. We can dive into that, but I just want to echo what you said in your video too. Is that we're so lucky to have this profession that's so flexible that we can work for a company, big company or small startup, right? You can do freelancing, independent contracting, to where if you only wanted to work 10 hours a week, cool, find a contract for that. Like you can build your own stuff. Like it's so flexible. So what have you done, in the previous years or during your commute, it sounds like, to kind of lay some foundation to have options in a time like this?
Yeah. So obviously, I think one of the most apparent things that I've done was start building up like an online presence. So that definitely helps if you can start having any type of online presence or making networking connections in any way. That definitely helps because when I announced that I got laid off, like a lot of people had reached out, and I already have some opportunities coming in, so that's really beneficial. So doing the YouTube thing, I built a platform, a following that, I mean, by no means could support me in any way, like me and my family at this current point that or state that it's in. But potentially, if I were to continue to focus on it, go full time, there is the possibility that I could be like you or Paul and make this like one of the things, make this like my job and my primary source of income. So that's one thing that I did was like have people to like potentially earn money from by providing content. And then the thing that kept me most secure was that when I was going from my previous company, which was a very small startup, it was like 10 people in total, to Bird, I actually switched from a full-time position over there to a part-time contracting position with them, and I continued to just work on their app during the commute. So um, since since it's not just like one train that goes all the way to my office, like I have to drive, I have to walk, I have to go on different trains and stuff like that. It wasn't like the entire commute was productive, but I was able to, if I would work on the way to work and on the way back home from work on the train, then I would be able to get in around 5 hours a day, working on my side contract.
I mean,
And that's
that's
kind
damn near a full day. I mean,
yeah, yeah, it's really close to a full day, and it really made my commute work for me. And that's why I think that I was able to, survive the commute, is because I was keeping my mind active. I was working on it. I was getting paid to essentially make a commute,
mm-hmm.
and any other person it would just be like having a second job, which a lot of people do have. So it's just like having a second job that just so happens to take place on my way to and from my primary work.
Yeah, let's dive into the personal presence, brand, whatever you want to call it, because maybe I'm biased. Of course I'm biased, but I believe that's one of the most important things you can do as a developer. Of course, we're in the YouTube front. Not everybody wants to be on camera. As you know, it's a shit ton of work to edit videos. Like I've been recording and editing all day. It's a lot. It's funny. Like every time somebody wants to start a YouTube channel, they always make like 3 or 4 videos and then they're like done. And I'm not like knocking them at all. It's just people don't realize how much work it takes to make these videos, and they get a rude awakening when they start trying. So don't worry if YouTube's not, for you, not you, but I'm talking to the audience. Do a blog, do a podcast, just something to get your name out there. Because like you said, as soon as you announced you got laid off, you immediately had opportunities, people reaching out to you. It makes it a lot easier to get contracts, which is always nice to have like some side contracts, even when you're working full time, like you said. So I just want to echo your thoughts on having the personal brand. That to me is like one of the most valuable things you can do because it makes you just so flexible.
Yeah, and I think that both you, Sean, and me myself, I think we're in really good situations to where we do have like this network or this following to where if we were ever desperate that we could always reach out to our network and be able to get something that will help us put food on the table or keep a roof over our head. So like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Being able to put out some content that's going to either help somebody in any way or just entertain them is great. And like you said, making YouTube videos is a lot of work. I would actually recommend, I'm not going to speak for you, but for me personally, when I've tried to do the different types of content creation, YouTube videos, doing blogs and doing a podcast, I found that doing podcasting was the most like the easiest thing to do because I could just have a topic in my mind and then maybe just do like maybe a outline of what I wanted on points that I wanted to hit and just like start rambling or not rambling, but like just venting to somebody. And I found it to be like really therapeutic and it seemed to be helping a few people, understand different concepts or have a different outlook or perspective on a certain topic.
Yeah, podcasts are great because people expect a long listen, right? Maybe they're out on a walk or they're on a commute. Like a 45-minute podcast is like, that's the norm. I mean, I know a 45-minute video is the norm for you, but but typically you got to play the YouTube game, right? Where you have to worry about like your audience drop off. You always have to keep them entertained. Like you want not entertained, but either learning or you have to keep their attention. So short, not super short videos like a minute, but like your videos just have to be jam-packed and concise to keep the audience retention high enough, right? Because that's all the whole YouTube algorithm stuff. So you're really playing a game when you make these YouTube videos. But like you said, a podcast, you don't got to worry about any of that shit. Like you just sit there, ramble, and obviously you want to be somewhat informative and entertaining, but you're not playing that game. So I agree. Podcasts to me are like very relaxing and therapeutic, like you said.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to switch it up either. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be somebody that's teaching about coding or anything like that. Like, oh, I feel like everybody's already taught the things that I would want to teach. Like, one, you can always like just take somebody else's content and then explain it in a different way because maybe the way that you explain it resonates and makes somebody understand much better than whoever else did it. So, I mean, I would say just add your own twist, maybe explain it in a different way or go down a different avenue that's really close to what you experience. But then there's also the other part where you could do entertainment. Like you could like start up a TikTok account where it's just like developer related jokes and you could like do entertainment type things around like what engineers or developers might experience at the workplace or working at home, being an indie dev, things like that. So like you can really like if you just sit down and think about it, there's like a lot of different ways that you can go about building an audience and a following. And that's the main thing is just making people know that you actually exist is the most important thing.
It's not only just the existing too is and this is controversial what I'm about to say, but fuck it. Like a lot of people like think that or I think that people that are putting out content, blog posts and stuff, like they're very passionate. I'm not saying they're more passionate than people that don't put out content. And if you don't put out content, you're not a good developer, right? Of course not, right? There's plenty of awesome developers that don't put out content. But at the same time, you're showing your enthusiasm, you're showing your knowledge out there, you're putting it out there that you care, right? And that goes a long way with a lot of people. And like you said, don't if the topic's been done, like I just did a video on UI navigation controller that went out today. That's been done like 7 times, but it hasn't been done the Sean Allen way. And not to say that my way is the best, but it hasn't been done the Kilo Loco way. It hasn't been done the whoever way. And different people learn better from different teaching styles, right? Like some people love my teaching style. Other people don't like my teaching style, right? You can't please everybody. So you may find out, or you may carve out a little niche of people that love your teaching style. So yeah, don't be afraid to do topics that have already been done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some other ways that you prepared yourself besides, having the personal brand and the content creation? Because let's face it, that may not be for everybody.
Yeah, like for the most part, like I was always trying something different, and I got a lot of experience, like just by, or not experience, but I did a lot of research on multiple streams of revenue, and I've already kind of talked about most of my multiple streams of revenue when it comes to like YouTube. I also have like online courses that I had on my website and things like that. But also just like keep in mind, like you don't have to necessarily do something that's directly coding related. Like if you have other skills, you can also be like, you could be out there doing it like the Gary Vee way, where you're going flipping stuff at garage sales and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing is just like never rely on just one source of income. Like if all your income is just coming from this stable job that you think is, oh, it's going to be around forever because this industry is going to be around forever, whether that's true or not, you should still have like some other income, or at least the skill set to start making another income should you ever end up in a weird situation to where like that stream no longer exists. So I just wanted to just say, even though we're developers and that's probably what you want to do most, just remember that you're probably not only skilled at development, but like you probably have a lot of other skills, and you could go out and you could probably learn how to make different streams of revenue by doing or utilizing those other skills.
And don't, I'm saying this to myself because I did this too. Don't think you have to go out and have 10 to 12 streams of income. Like I went down that path. I was trying to do way too much. And over the past couple months, I've really narrowed my focus to down to like 3 or 4. So I just want to put that out there because I know myself, I went crazy. I was like, I'm going to do merchandise. I'm going to do podcasts. I'm going to do Patreon. Blah, blah, blah. And I cut out a lot of that stuff, and I'm just focusing on like 2 or 3 things majorly. And then I have like 1 or 2 just or like whatever, even if only as like a developer who just has their full-time job. Like again, 1 extra income stream could be a lifesaver in tough times.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right.
So let's wrap this up, Kyle. Where can people find you if they want to, dive into your YouTube channel, or if they maybe have a job for you that, they might want to hand you?
Yeah, if you're interested in just like the content that I put out, you could either go to kiloloco.com, or you could just search for me on YouTube, Kilo space Loco, and all my stuff will come up. And if you want to hit me up on Twitter and like direct message me, then you can find me at Kilo KILO _ Loco LOCO.
And are we going to be seeing YouTube videos or not?
I think so, honestly. I really think so, but nothing's for sure.
Yeah, don't overpromise quite yet.
Yeah.
Like see one. It's funny. Tell a quick little story. I just did a video on lazy, the lazy keyword. And I have this idea in my head, and every time I have an idea for a video, I usually like Google it to see, like, let me make sure I'm not doing exactly the same thing. And my video was like exactly your lazy video. I was like, damn it. So I had to like completely go back to the drawing board. Like, I don't mind if my content's like kind of similar, but it was like literally like the exact same concept. And I was like, I can't do that. So I had to go back and like think of another idea. So funny little story there.
It's all good. Like I said, like people will just not click on my videos because they know that sometimes I'm just like not professional is the word that I see a lot.
Oh, really?
Like so unprofessional. So yeah, like doing the same exact thing, I think it would have been perfectly fine, but yeah,
it's all right.
It's okay.
All right, well, everybody go check out Kyle, Kilo Loco, the YouTube channel, Twitter, and all that, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right, see you later, guys.